What's going on, fam? It's me. Welcome to STEM Media Live. Hey, man, I'm excited. I'm excited not because this is the thing that we do every week. We chat with some of the most inspirational and creative people in the STEM community. Today is no exception. But today is also Father's Day, man. Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers and father figures out there. And if you are a regular, you've been here before, check me out, man. Check me out. You may notice something a little different about my background for those who come through. This is a new desk office / studio setup. Shout out to my wife. This was a Father's Day gift and surprise. And man, I'm so excited because I feel great right now. This is a good vibe. We got a fantastic guest on the way. And man, I got a whole new setup. So thanks for the hearts. If y'all digging it, y'all digging the backlit, the blue-black lighting, let me know how y'all feel, man, about that. Let me know what y'all think, man. I think it's dope. I think it's dope. Also, let me know how y'all feeling. Give me a thumbs up in the comment if you're feeling good. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you're feeling good this Sunday. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm so happy, man. Again, this is the place where we chat with some of the most inspirational and creative people in the STEM community. Today is no exception. And do me a favor, right? If you're watching this on Instagram, go over to YouTube. Please do me a favor. Go to youtube.com/STEM Media and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Shout out to people watching this on YouTube. We are now streaming this simultaneously on YouTube. So what up, SC? What up, Zebby? Good to see you. Jen, good to see you. Hey, do me a favor. Even our guests. What up, Viv? If you can go to YouTube real quick, hit that subscribe button. That would be great. If you're on YouTube right now and you haven't hit subscribe, it's just one click away. Please do me a favor and do that. That would be great. And of course, man, always, STEM Media Live is brought to you by the STEM Media Network. STEMmedia.com. You can find access to exclusive videos, interviews, courses, and so forth to empower your STEM journey. So go to STEMmedia.com today and get your free 30-day trial. I love it. We got it all out the way. And we're about to get into today's conversation. Thanks for the wave, Essie. I didn't see no thumbs up. Oh, okay. Jenny got me a thumbs up. Cool. Nesby Calvin, good to see you. Let me know how y'all feeling. Brianna, thanks for coming through. Give me a thumbs up if y'all feeling good, because I'm about to introduce our great guest. Hi there, Wilmington boy. What up? What up? Yes. Yes, strong. We're going strong tonight. We're going strong today. Yes, let me see. If you're feeling good, thumbs up, thumbs up. Hey, you just said my name correctly. I love it, Zebby. I love it. Awesome, awesome. Thanks, Viv. All right, here we go. There she is. The woman of the hour is here. She says she's feeling good. She's giving a thumbs up. Without further ado, I want y'all to know right now, our guest this evening, tonight on STEM Media Live is Miss Vivian Smith. Vivian Smith is a principal research scientist at Battelle, and she is on the forefront of the response efforts of COVID-19. Her entire career has been focused on nuclear, biological, and chemical defense. She also attended Alcorn State University. Shout out to the HBCUs out there. She graduated with a BS degree in biology. And she also graduated with a master's in biotechnology with a concentration in biodefense from the Johns Hopkins University. She has had tremendous roles and has done a lot really in her young life. And that's just the beginning of the story. So, Fantasia, Nicole, Zebby, good to see you. Everybody, shout out to Mississippi. Yep, Alcorn out there in Mississippi. Do me a favor. Let's hit some hearts right now. Join with me as I present to some, introduce to others, none other than tonight's guest on STEM Media Live, Miss Vivian Smith. Y'all give her some hearts. Yes, she's coming. She's coming. Hey, Kat, good to see you. Good to see you. We're bringing on Vivian right now to chat with us. Dr. Hayes, good to see you. Good to see you. Vivian, did you get my request? Oh, man, I'm excited, too. Here we go. Here we go. Let me see if I can bring her on again. We definitely want to get her on. Vivian, are you there? Let's try this one more time. I'm excited. Yes, good to see you. Good to see you. LY Engineering. Welcome to STEM Media Live. Welcome to STEM Media Live. Okay, here we go. Let's go live with Vivian. Y'all give her some hearts. Give her some hearts. Give her some love as she comes on the STEM Media Live. She's joining us now.
Hi.
Boom. There she is. Hey. It's been a long time coming, but here we are. Here we are. What up, Vivian? How you feeling? I know. Hey, it's only a matter of time. You feeling? Yes, I'm excited to have you. You feeling good? You feeling all right? I saw your thumbs up in the chat.
I'm feeling good. I'm a little tired. I had a 13-hour workday today, but this was all day. I've been thinking about this all day. I'm like, yes, tonight.
All day.
Energy.
Yes. Well, I'm excited to get into this conversation. Of course, I've been following your work for a little bit on the IG, and you've been doing so much more that doesn't even make it to social media. So we're going to get into all of that. But first things first, of course, you saw your applause, your hearts. That's all for you. That's welcome onto the stage. Welcome to the show. Let's break things off a little bit, break the ice a little bit, rather, with you giving us a random fun fact about yourself. Vivian?
Random fun fact was in high school, I was homecoming queen.
Oh, wow. Now, was that senior year or like it had to be senior year, or was it? Because I know some schools let you do it earlier. Okay, senior year. Awesome. So you got the votes, all of that. And where was that at? What high school?
I went to Vicksburg High School in Mississippi. So down
Mississippi.
south, homecoming queen and football season is like a big deal. So even still now to this day, people will remember I was the homecoming queen. And I forget sometimes. I'm like, oh, yeah, I did do that.
Yeah. Well, we got a guest right now. Fantasy Nicole says, come through, queen, with the crown. And got the claps. Yes, Mississippi. So she mentioned to have a little tip about that info about you. Really big deal. That's really big. Y'all give her some hearts for that. We got a homecoming queen. I think this is the first time I know of a homecoming queen being on Stimmy Live. So we are nice to have your presence, Your Highness.
Sorry.
She's from Jackson and Starfield.
That's what's up. My dad is
wow.
from Starfield.
Yeah. Well, I grew up right next door. I don't know if I've ever shared this online, but Alabama. Like, I don't know if you know this, but Alabama is where I came of age. Huntsville, Alabama. Yeah, right next door to Mississippi.
Nice. I did not know that. Random fun fact about you.
There we go. You know what I'm saying? We got that Southern connection. So tell us a little bit about that experience. Are you born in Mississippi as well? Like, give us some of the origins of Vivian.
So I was born in Mississippi. I moved away when I was like 5 because my dad had a job. And then I came back for high school and uni or undergrad.
Yeah. So that's home, like, regardless of where did you go? Did you live in one spot when you left? Like, where'd you go?
Oh, no, we lived all over. So I lived in Texas, Louisiana. We were in Arkansas. We were all over the place. But mainly in the southern part of the United States. Right.
So you're a Southern girl. I'm a Southern boy. I love it. So tell me about just that type of culture that it was growing up in. Like, was your dad into science? Like, what are your earliest memories as it relates to your interests and things like that?
So my parents were non-scientists. My mom was a social worker. My dad was he did finance, and then he joined the military. So actually what got me interested in biodefense was that my dad joined the military, and he was getting deployed, and he had to get a smallpox vaccine. And at the time, my mom was pregnant with my little sister, and he couldn't be around the family. So he had to quarantine while he was getting the vaccine, was working its way through his body. And I just really didn't understand that. So I did like all this research, like what is smallpox? What is the smallpox vaccine? Because I was trying to figure out, like, why did my dad have to live in a separate space from us?
What is this quarantine stuff?
Yeah. So through that research, I just decided, this sounds really interesting. This sounds like something I should like learn more about. So that's how I got started.
Wow, that's interesting. So your dad had to quarantine with a smallpox vaccine. You got interested because you're like, yo, what is Dad doing over here? Like, what is this kind of experiment is this?
Right.
And that got you interested. Okay, so what's this? How long before university was this? Before you actually got deep into the study?
This was probably like my sophomore year in high school.
Okay.
Yeah. Prior to that, I knew that I was interested in science. I knew that I wanted, so I was one of those kids that like, if you had a bruise, like I wanted to like squeeze it, I wanted to touch it, I wanted to know why it was a bruise, like what made it that color.
Oh man.
Like, cut themselves. I was the kid that wanted to pour peroxide on it, and I wanted to know like why was the peroxide bubbling. So I was that kid. I knew that I wanted to do something with science, but for the longest time I thought that it was medically focused. And then I realized like no, I'm really into like infectious disease. Like why do things people? So
oh man, so you weren't a pimple popper, were you? My sister,
exactly.
She's another. You was a pimple popper. Oh, got you. Doc McStuff and somebody said I love it because that's the thing that's so great about looking at those early childhood memories, because that is science at a very early age. Like that curiosity, like why when I put this on there, what is it causing this reaction? All of that, right? And that's what we have to identify in the younger generation and use that as a thing that can encourage them, because that's obviously what brought you into it, right?
Yep.
That's cool. And your sister, you have one sister, y'all grew up kind of together. How was that?
She is 13 years younger than me, so she's still a little kid. She just turned 21, and she goes to Jackson State University. So she goes to my rival uni.
Oh man, house divided. Sibling robbery right there.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, cool. Shout out to her. So you went to Alcorn State. I am an HBCU grad as well. Let's talk a little bit about that experience. When you got there, you picking a major and all that kind of stuff like that.
So my journey to Alcorn was very it was just by chance, honestly. So I was working at the mayor's office in Vicksburg. So I finished my high school degree working at the mayor's office in a summer program. And the vice mayor.
Hold on, let's not go by that so fast. Like you were in high school working in the mayor's office. Sound like you were plugged in kind of early. Like how did that come about? Like you apparently were a person that always carried yourself well, and you were able to do things like that. So how did you get that gig really quick? Just really quick. Sure as that.
It was my teacher, my AP government teacher, actually put me in touch with the mayor. Yeah, so she knew the mayor. Put me in touch with the mayor. The mayor was like, "Oh, we could use an intern," and that's how I got where I was.
Hey, well, excuse me. All right, go ahead, continue on. So you were in the mayor's office before you picked the college, and what happened from there?
The vice mayor. I actually worked for the vice mayor. She was a Black woman. She was a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Ooh, so am I.
All right. Shout out Delta.
So I was asking her for a letter of recommendation for the honors college at another university. So I was going to another university. And she was just like, with these grades and where you graduated in your class, why don't you have a full scholarship? And I was like, I don't know. No one offered me. I applied, but no one offered. So then she like made some calls, made some connections, and then she brought in the dean of the foundation department. And she said, if we can get you a full scholarship, would you go to Alcorn? And I was like, heck yeah. So like that summer, like the month before I was supposed to start at uni, I completely changed my entire course. So I was going to another school. Wow. And then she came in with this offer of a full scholarship, and I completely changed my direction. So that's how I got started.
Wow, y'all give her some hearts for that. Got that full scholarship. Big ups to that individual. Just one of the people in your journey that looked out for you, pulled some strings, and gave you an opportunity. And that's so big right there. What do you think you learned or got from that type of experience?
She definitely made me be the giving person that I am, because she changed my life. And I've had so many people along the journey that have completely changed the course of my life. I'll never ever forget her. And for that reason, like I have a desire to give back. And because of her, I actually started a $10,000 scholarship at Alcorn to give back to students that go through the university foundation department like I did. So she inspired me to give back.
Listen, claps. I'm with Teresa in the comments. She got the claps coming. That's great. Way to give back. None of us are 100% self-made. Definitely there's a lot of work that we have to do in and of ourselves, but there's always people like that, right? That we can thank, that we can point to and say, man, this person really believed in me. They helped me out and empowered you to give back. So I think that's really awesome, Vivian. Kudos to you for that. Yeah. Shout out to people coming through. The Bearded Scientist, good to see you. Teresa, thanks for coming through. Aaliyah, good to see you. I am witness Vivian Smith. This is what a global scientist look like, y'all. In case you did not know, we're gonna get a little bit into her career, a little bit more. But you picked a major. What makes you pick your major? And then what led you? Because we read in your bio that you went to grad school. So how did you begin to crystallize what the path would look like, right? Because I know you were interested in something, but we don't always know what the path looks like. So tell us a little bit about that decision-making process.
I would love to say that it was this beautiful process and I was, I knew exactly what I wanted to do, blah, blah, blah. But I'm a procrastinator to the core. I just understand that this is who I am and I don't try to run from it.
Oh, man.
It has fared me well at this point. I get my work done, but as far as making decisions, I make really tough decisions at the last minute. And I just go with my gut feeling. So I knew that I wanted to major in biology. I knew that for sure because that's what I was interested in. And then I was an undergrad cheerleader as well. So I was a cheerleader. And by chance, me and my teammate, we were sitting in parasitology class or lab. And I was like, I just really don't think that I want to go to medical school. I don't think it's for me. I shadowed a first-year medical student and he was just miserable. And she just said, well, why don't you look into fellowship programs? I had never even heard of a fellowship program. And so I started Googling biodefense and biological threats. And I was just Googling
right.
along with fellow. And the fellowship that I ended up getting accepted into popped up. And I called them because the fellowship that I got accepted into is actually a postdoctoral fellowship. They have never...
Whoa.
Yeah.
So you got in as a master's student, though?
Not a master's. I was the undergrad.
Well, you weren't even a master's student at the time. You were undergrad. Oh, man. Wow. Yeah. So they... And it wasn't just at any school, right? It was at one of the best schools to do it.
Yes.
Wow. So you went... Okay. So you got the fellowship from NIH.
Yeah.
And then you also was able to go get a master's degree after getting that fellowship.
Yep.
At Johns Hopkins.
Yep.
Wow. That is dope.
So I went to the National Institutes of Health straight out of undergrad. So when I interviewed for that fellowship, I was a senior in undergrad. So I interviewed, it was 6 people that interviewed, and it was me, 2 PhD students who had just defended their dissertation, and 2 MD PhD students. So, and then it was me. So, of course, I was intimidated.
Wow.
I'm like this 20-year-old kid. I'm like, God, they're not gonna pick me.
Right. Yeah.
I remember the envelope came, and my mom was like, "The envelope's here," and I was like, "Mom, whatever." They didn't choose me. Like I was a 20-year-old kid. They just was entertaining. And she was like, "It's a big envelope. They don't send people big envelopes to reject them, so you probably need to open it." And I got accepted.
Wow, man, that really is inspiring because you could have easily been like, yeah, not only am I the youngest person, I went to HBCU. Sometimes people act like, the myth of like bigger schools, bigger opportunities. But here you are coming from Mississippi in the South, African American woman, young, and listen, it didn't matter what they had. You were the right person for the job. You got the opportunity, and you found yourself out on the East Coast. That's awesome, man. Y'all give her some hearts, some love.
And
what was that like, though? Yeah, go ahead.
I was the first African American woman to be accepted into the fellowship.
Oh, so you were the first Black woman ever?
Yep.
Wow. That's a big deal. So we talking to a pioneer, a homecoming queen, You know what I mean? Someone who you dabbled in politics a little bit, local politics, just the whole nine. And we haven't even gotten to, the full-time work that you did. And I'm hearing this theme, right? It seems like that was almost like the canon, right? Like, because I'm reading how like you became a manager for a lab, and you can kind of walk us to how you got there. But you were only like, you were in your early 20s, and you were given these high responsibility positions. So was that kind of, would you say that was the beginning of sort of that fast track of kind of being ahead of the curve, or what do you think it was?
Oh yeah,
okay.
That fellowship completely put me like 10 years ahead of anyone else in my age range, because I completely skipped having to do a PhD. I completely skipped having to do a postdoctoral fellowship. Like, I was working in high containment, maximum containment laboratories, and most people never work in those type of laboratories in their research career ever. So it just like fast-tracked me to a place where most people like have to work a lot longer to get to. So I am definitely blessed and quite fortunate, and I owe all of them a huge gratitude. I tell them all the time, the entire scientific board that chose me, I owe them a huge gratitude, because it's because of them that I am where I am today, because they saw something in me. They gave me a chance, and they helped me. So I got in the fellowship, but it wasn't like I just got in the fellowship and that was that. Like, I was taking graduate level courses. So I was doing my fellowship work, but I was also taking grad courses so that I could get my levels up to the same levels as the postdoc students that were in the fellowship with me.
Man. Y'all gotta give us some love for that. Give us some hearts. And if y'all have any questions, definitely. I'm kind of speechless right now, because, like you said, this is stuff that people who have gotten a PhD, people who are well into the field, don't even have an opportunity to do. And you're doing this in your early 20s. That's really impressive, Vivian. I had no idea about your story. But I'm like, and Dear says it was your calling. And I agree, definitely. It was your calling. But really, like, sometimes we get these opportunities and we get a little nervous. Like, we start really questioning and doubting ourselves. I'm just wondering, like, and I love what she's saying, never doubt yourself is what I'm hearing. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about that to those of us who probably may get looks like that or have an opportunity to go off and stuff like that, but we start kind of having these thoughts and, unfortunately could head down the wrong path of self-sabotage. What would you say to those individuals?
I just feel like I was fearless. And I was fearless not because, I'm this bold, fearless person. I was fearless because I was just very naive.
Okay.
Like, it didn't even dawn on me that I was calling the director of a postdoctoral fellowship to say that I'm the person that they should choose for the fellowship. Mm-hmm. It was just like, well, I'll never know unless I call. So that was just, my thing was always, I could just call them and talk to them and see what they say. It was just a very naive thing, like, whatever, I'll just call. Because I guess I have never been afraid of rejection. It just is what it is. Like, if they don't call me, if they don't choose me, then okay, I'll move on. So I just
still living
reaction.
Right. No, that's really good. I love it because, sometimes the age causes us to get more fearful of what's ahead, like when you're young, like you said, you're naive. It's like, why not? Give it a shot. Like, I'm be a kid and be open to all possibilities. Chase your dreams. I love it. There's a book actually known as, I think the book is called The Alchemist, which is a very popular book. And it has in there, talks about, what the biggest lie in the world, one of the biggest lies in the world is that, the biggest lie is that we get to a point where we can no longer go after our dreams. That, I'm stuck here and I just have to go, down the normal path. But you seem to have rejected that very, very early on. And it continued because, you had that fellowship and then you eventually started working full time while you were also a master's student.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what was that first? How did you transition from that fellowship to that first full-time hire? Talk about that period of time.
So when you go through this fellowship, there's no chance that you're not going to get a job. So for me, it was just like choosing the job that I wanted, because everyone knows these fellows. Everyone in the biodefense community knows about this fellowship. It's a one-of-a-kind fellowship. There's no other fellowship out there like it. So they put you in front
I think you're breaking up just a tad bit. You're breaking up just a tad bit, Vivian. Can you repeat that again?
So I was saying, like, they put you in front of a lot of different people. So people see you, they know who you are. So when you finish the fellowship, they're coming after you. You don't really have to look for a job. They're more so like reaching out to you, like, come work at my institute. So it's like choosing a place to go.
Wow. I love that. That's boss move right there. It's like, I'll see where I want to go. You know, it's not like you went out begging. You already were certified. You had the pedigree that like really any of these labs would die to have. And so it was a matter of you choosing. Got you. So what made you choose? What was that first place you started working with? You started working with, was it Cornell Medicine? Was that Cornell?
No, it was the J. Craig Venture Institute.
That's right. Yes. Which is pretty prestigious. So talk a little bit about that. And if you can, like, go ahead and help us out and begin to kind of break down what you were actually doing, right? Like, what is biodefense and what was, you know, I think you used some terms, BSL-2, BSL-3, like kind of break down some of the science of what was going on in these roles.
So I chose to work at the J. Craig Venture Institute because I like working for the best. I like working for the people that are on the cutting edge of science, and that's who Dr. Craig Venture was. So I want to learn from people that I feel like are going to change science, or like Dr. Venture, I'm sure is going to be nominated for a Nobel Prize at some point. And he had 3 Nobel laureates working at the Venture Institute. So I was like, sounds like a place I need to be working at.
Yeah, that sounds like the big league. Right. Yeah.
So I remember Endura said the best should work for the best. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Yes.
I remember I was in grad school and my professor, I was in medical microbiology class, and he was just like, we were on this chapter, we were talking about restriction enzymes. And for those that don't know what restriction enzymes are, they are what cuts DNA. So how we break the DNA down and we know like what section of a DNA does what, is because we have restriction enzymes that track the DNA and they cut it at a very specific spot in the DNA.
Okay.
So we were on that section in class, and my professor was like, oh, Vivian should know all about this restriction enzyme. And I was like, what is he talking? Why do you think I should know that? I was like, what is he talking about? And I remember just sitting there like, I don't know. I'm learning just like everybody else. So then I was like, Dr. Ronaldo, like, why would I know about that? And he looked at me and he was like, go back to your lab and talk to your lab PI. And I was like, okay. So I went back, talked to my PI. My PI was a Nobel laureate. He won the Nobel Prize for discovering the restriction enzyme that we were studying in class. And I was like, because we call him Ham, but in the book, he was called Hamlet Smith. He was in my book.
Oh my goodness. You with the pioneer, you with the guy himself, the man himself. And didn't even realize it. And so that's why, like, just by association, it was like, oh, Vivian is destined to have opportunity to know all this stuff. Yeah.
So I was like, what, like, Dr. Smith? Well, I didn't call him Dr. Smith. We called him Ham. So I was like, Ham, my professor kept saying that I should know you because he was helping me also with my master thesis. So then he's like, well, why? And so I showed him the book. I was like, we're on this section in the book. He's like, oh, yeah, I won the Nobel Prize for that.
Just casually.
What?
As if it's something that everybody does. You know what I mean? Like, what?
And he pulled out his Nobel Prize coin. He just has it in his pocket. He pulled it out. I was like,
wow.
What is happening right now?
Yeah.
Blew my mind.
That's historic right there.
Yeah,
that is historic.
It really is. Most people don't even meet Nobel laureates, and I was working for one and didn't even know.
You know what I mean? Hey, you belong in that circle. You must belong in that circle, Vivian. And I just think it's so interesting too. I got an email recently, and I always thought about this. How did he get his Nobel? What was it? Was it in chemistry?
It was in I want to say medicine. I think
medicine. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I just always thought about how, like, there's still categories where there's been no African American to win a Nobel Prize. Of course, we have several or at least 1 or 2 Peace Prize winners.
Yeah.
But I always think about that, and I got an email recently where people were writing on that, and man, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, you're in good company, and I'm looking forward to that happening one day. And if you ever get one of those coins, can I flip it one time? Like, that's all I was like. Can I look at it? That's basically what I'm getting to. And I just hearing your story so far, I mean, I really feel like I would not be surprised, if you would continue to be in that circle and continue to be recognized, because I believe you got an award. What was it? Not that long ago, for some of the work you've been doing as well. Last year, yeah. So what was that?
God, I feel like now that I'm talking to you, I feel like all of my life experiences are like a aha, got you moment. Because even with that experience, I was in Vietnam. I was working all across the country of Vietnam, and at that time I was in Saigon for work. And our VP at Battelle, he called me and he said, we want to nominate you for this award. So all of the CBRN, so CBRN is chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear, and engineer fields. Like all of the companies that do that type of work, they nominate one person from their company that's 35 and under to go head to head with all of the top people for this award. So they were like, for our company of Battelle, we want to nominate you.
Who else?
And I remember thinking,
who else are going to nominate?
They hadn't even met me though. They didn't even meet me. Because when I started working for Battelle, I went to Battelle headquarters for like 2 days to do some processing, and then I left and went to Kazakhstan. So it's not even like I met them or they knew me like that. They just knew about the work that I was doing. And then a lot of people that I worked with was writing back to them saying like, wow, she's done this or that. So I remember telling him, I was like, I don't really have time to write an essay because I'm working on these papers.
Yeah.
And he was like, what? And he was just like, well, that's just not an option, Vivian. He was like, if you need us to give you some time, we can take some of this work away from you, but you need to write this essay. Like, it's not an option to not write.
Like, this is a big deal. This is, in case you didn't know, this is pretty big.
Because I was going to be like, you can just nominate somebody else. Maybe next year I'll go for it.
Yeah.
No, you're the one we're nominating, and you need to write this essay. So I did, and I think like 2 or 3 months later, the general that sponsored me, because we have a general that works for Battelle, he called me and he said, hey, I just want to call and let you know that you won. Like, out of all the people from all the companies, you won. Because even from my company, it's like I went head to head against at least like 5,000 people, and I was the one chosen.
Wow.
So he was like, yeah, you won. And I was like, oh my God, this is exciting. I researched the award. I knew what the award was about, but I still did not grasp the gravity of it until I actually made it back to DC. So my company flew me back from Vietnam to DC for the award ceremony. I did not think that they would do that. Yes. They were like, bring all of your family. So all of my family showed up. My friends showed up. And even still, it wasn't really like dawning on me until this general, like he's a 2-star general, so he's really high up.
Yeah,
he came to pick me up. Like, it wasn't like you come in through the gate. Like, he came to personally pick my family up to escort us. Wow. And then when we were in the car, he was just talking to my mom, and he was like, do you know what your daughter has done? Like, do you know what she's accomplished? And my mom was like, no, tell me.
She doesn't know. My daughter doesn't know, so you tell me.
Right. My mom was like, no. My mom's like, I know what she does, but I don't know it in detail. I've never had anyone else explain it to me. Right. So then he told my mom, like everything that I'd done, everything I had accomplished. And then when I got out the car, my mom like elbowed me. She was like, damn, girl. I was like, yeah, I didn't even know.
You know what I'm saying? I was just doing what I do, and just, and that's a testament too, Vivian. I think that's it, man. Y'all gotta give them some love. Y'all gotta give them some hearts for that. But I think it's a testament to just, again, you really about it. Like, you're not just playing a scientist on TV. Like, you are really a scientist, so much so that when you have opportunity for recognition, that's not like consuming your focus. You're still in the lab. You're still like, yeah, I got some work to do. You told them like, I don't think I have time to write the essay. So yeah, y'all gonna holler at somebody else.
Right. Yeah, nominate somebody else. I really got to write.
Yeah. No, I love it, man. And I agree. Like we'll say in the comments, this is inspiring. You have this calling. You have this, you're ordained for these things. And it's so awesome that up to this point, you've gotten these wins, because I'm sure that it's not always, peaches and cream. I'm sure there's some tough periods. I'm sure there's some discouraging moments. And so if you don't mind, I'm wondering if you could maybe even share with us, have there been any difficult times that you had to kind of fall back and remind yourself, no, I belong here. I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. So I think my first one came when I was in the fellowship. And one of my advisors, he actually said something negative about the way that I spoke. So I would say, and I would never mispronounce this word ever again in life, because he pointed it out and he made me feel so horrible about it. But I was saying axe, because down south we'd be like, we
do. We so do say that asking all those questions.
Yeah, I'm asking you. We don't say no S. So I remember one of my writing assignments, I was supposed to be focused on an evacuation drill I had done for a high containment laboratory where they were working on Ebola. So I was supposed to be writing that up. And I was like, I just want to ask you a question. And it bothered him so much. And it must have been bothering him that I pronounced it that way. That he took me aside and he was like, Vivian, you sound so unintelligent saying that like that. And I was like, what? And he was like, you're writing an assignment. Don't worry about finishing your assignment this week about the Ebola project. I want you to write out the word ask 100 times on a paper. That's your writing assignment, and turn that in to me.
I'm talking about grade school. He took you back to grade school. And he off of your research project back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I remember I was very graceful. I was like, I didn't even recognize that I was saying it that way. He was like, yeah, you should say ask, like ASS''K. Write that down, turn that into me.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
I remember I said, okay, thank you for pointing that out to me. I didn't realize. And he gave me this long story about his law professor, who's a PhD JD. And he was like, yeah, my law professor would say it like that too. And I never could look at him the same. I never thought I used to think he was smart, and I just never thought he was smart after that. And I was like, wow. So I left. I went back down to the fellows that were in the program with me, and I just bawled. I just, like, the second I walked through the door, I just was crying. They was like, let's go for a walk. Let's go for a walk. So they took me out for a walk. And they were two white women. And I was like, he's so racist. That's so racist. I was so upset. I was so upset. But they had my back, and they calmed me down. And they were like, look at you. You're 20. At the time, I think I was 21. They're like, you're 21. And you're right here with us doing the exact same thing that we're doing. Like, who cares how you pronounce a word? And she's like, I'm from Boston. I say words like this. And my other friend's like, yeah, I'm from Texas. I say axe too. She was like, he never said that to me. So.
Wow. And you'll find that too. Like, I've had similar, nothing like that, where it's like, stop doing this high level research that you obviously have the intelligence to do and you're doing a great job of, and go back to like grade school and crazy. Yeah, man. Listen, that is going to be something in your story. It's already something in your story that, though it hurt as bad then, and I'm sure you kind of gotten over it to a certain extent, but even those, or even this person, I don't know this person, but we'll look back on it and be like, what was I thinking? I had no idea. That was extremely disrespectful, because I'm listening to that and I'm like, how in the world, after we just heard about how far you've gotten, again, your coworkers saying at the age of 21 that, okay, mention it to me, encouraging me, remind me is one thing. But to go this far and try to consider yourself my schoolmaster somehow to correct that on me, after you've already said you had a law professor that speaks like that as well, that's unbelievable, Vivian. That's unbelievable. But you bounced back. It didn't stop you.
I did.
Still going.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I just realized that a lot of people are intimidated by where you are in your journey because they were not there at that point in their life.
Yes.
So they want to tear you down. And thank God for my parents. They are really dope. They really are. And so I called them, and of course, I was upset. And my dad, like, all I got to do is look like I'm gonna cry, and he want to come down and just choke somebody.
I know, right?
He was like, you know what? Maybe you need to take some time and come home. So I did. I remember, like, they paid for my flight. I went home for the weekend just to like recalibrate and understand who I was and where I came from, and that who I am and where I come from and how I speak is not a bad thing. And it doesn't make me unintelligent. So I had to just go and get some love wrapped around me, and so I can come back and deal with all of that.
Yes. Shout out to your parents. Shout out to your dad on Father's Day. That is awesome. Yes. That's good. Y'all give some hearts, give some love. Thank you for not letting that knock you out of the race, because you've done a number of great things, so much so that it is taking you all over the world. And that's something, that was one of the first things that I noticed about you. In fact, I heart travel. Shout out to you. That's right. I want to talk a little bit about that. You mentioned how you were in one of the stands? Kazakhstan. I'm sorry. Yes. Apologize. But also you were in Vietnam, and you went various places. So talk a little bit about all the places and the travel, because I assume that's something you enjoy, right? Like, you seem to be, to have have an interest in traveling. So talk a little bit about the traveling aspect of your job and all the places all over the world that you've been able to go to.
So I first want to say that one of my best friends is from Kazakhstan, and she is on the chat.
Kazakhstan.
So woke up early to be on this chat.
Yes. What's your name?
Medina.
Shout out to you, Medina. Thanks for being on the chat.
So I remember when I was at Cornell Medicine, I got the opportunity to travel to Haiti and work on a drug-resistant mycobacterium tuberculosis project. So in Haiti, they have a high rate of drug resistance TB, and they have, a percentage of the population has a co-infection of drug-resistant tuberculosis with HIV. So I was working with a professor at Cornell Medicine who had a laboratory there, and it's a BSL-3 laboratory. So BSL-3, or Biosafety Level 3, is laboratories where you work with highly infectious agents that can have a vaccine, but most likely don't have a vaccine, and or the therapeutic inventions inventions that we have in place are not effective. So like some of the things you see worked on at BSL-3 laboratories are anthrax, tuberculosis, COVID is worked on in BSL-3 laboratories. So those are the type of things that you'll see worked on at that level. And then BSL-4 is a step higher. So those laboratories are where you work on things where there's no vaccine, no cure. So that'll be like Ebola, Marburg, VEE, so that is Venezuelan equine encephalitis. It's a lot of, it's like, if there's no vaccine for it, smallpox is another one that's worked at a BSL-4 level. And
so there's no vaccine? I thought there was a vaccine.
I was just about to say, the reason
go ahead.
The reason why smallpox is worked on at BSL-4 is for security reasons. So it is something that devastated our country. And so there's only 2 countries that are allowed to have a sample of smallpox. That's us at the CDC and in Russia. So before that reason, it has to be at that high level containment so that it doesn't accidentally get out and people can't use it to make like bioweapons with it. Right.
Man, so you're dealing with some pretty high level, high risk type of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And when you were in Vietnam, I believe you were creating like protocols for labs and things like that and training people, right? You're training, I think, over 100 different research professionals out in Vietnam. Was that the number?
Oh, yeah. Wow. Probably way more than that. I should look at the figures.
Yeah.
But the work in Haiti got me interested in doing more work. So I was like,
Okay.
I really like working internationally because
Internationally, yeah.
you can see the direct effects of the work that you're doing. In the United States, we have so many good measures in place. We have a lot of good laws, research laboratories in place. So, I mean, you know, like aside from what I did at Cornell, like I opened up a major laboratory in the middle of New York City from the ground up. That is very rare that you get to do that in your career. So internationally, you can do that as a part of your career and you can see like a direct effect of the work that you're doing. So I knew I wanted to continue to do that. And Battelle was the way to go. Just by chance, actually, someone that I had met at a conference reached out to me that worked at Battelle. And she's like, hey, are you ready to go internationally? Because they tried to recruit me to do international work in the Republic of Georgia in 2009 or 2011 when I finished the fellowship. And I was just too young, and I was not—
I'm about to say, you're like super young and you already getting these you're like a baby. I know now you probably look back and like, man, I was young and doing all this stuff. Wow. Man.
I definitely knew that I wanted, like at that time when the opportunity came, I was ready. I was emotionally ready to travel abroad. And when Battelle came calling, I was like, yeah, let's go. I packed my bags and I went to Kazakhstan. So Kazakhstan was my first full international expat position.
Yeah. And Dara asked a question. She said, how did you realize your calling / passion? Or would you say one thing led to another?
One thing led to another. One thing definitely led to another.
Yeah. I can hear that. Yeah. I love that though. But you seem to have always given your best where you are. And that's another thing sometimes that I can just be honest that I get tripped up with. Like, I know where I want to go sometimes, and then you can end up looking past where you are. And so the quality of where you are can kind of begin to drop. But that, as you have shown just in your journey, your testimony, is the very thing that opens the next door for you, giving the best where you are. And one of the things that's really interesting, I think, shortly after I discovered you on Instagram, you posted a part or just a video where you were disappointed about an opportunity that you thought you were going to have overseas. Like you thought you were going to work overseas and you end up not working overseas. But this was pre-COVID. This was pandemic, I guess, COVID. And now you're, very, very involved in these efforts that are affecting us. So talk about that, man. That's just a whole nother, how one thing led to another. Talk about, to walk us from the disappointment, inform us what that was all about, and then how you end up finding such an instrumental role in what you're doing now as it relates to COVID-19.
So I was supposed to leave Vietnam and go directly to South Korea. And the project was put on delay by a few months. And so they were like, all right, just come back to the U.S. for like a month. Like I wasn't even supposed to be in the U.S. like even a month. I was supposed to be there 29 days or less. So I was like, all right, that's fine. Came back to the U.S. and I was told that it would be then delayed because of COVID. And it was really disappointing because this was a biological threat detection project. So I was very excited to work on that project. And also I was going over as the country manager. So I was the head of the entire project. So it was career changing for me. It's one of those things that when you come back from that type of assignment, you go on to be VP or executive or whatever. So I really wanted that job. And so, I was pretty sad about it. And then COVID came and they were just like, I didn't even talk to anyone about working on the COVID project at my job. They came to me. They were like, so your name has come up at least 6 times with asking people who can lead these different efforts. So I ended up writing a white paper about the different types of technologies that we could use for decontamination. And then after that, they were like, all right, we need you to come to training. We want you to go and open up one of these sites in Pennsylvania. And I was like, okay. So that's what I
Let's do it.
Yep.
So specifically, like, what are you doing when you get there? Because of course you've had some press. You've been on like TV and stuff talking about your work. Like, break it down. How, what specific efforts you are leading as it relates to battling this pandemic.
So specifically, what I am doing is making sure that the hospital staff, all hospital care staff, but mainly nurses and doctors, do not have a shortage of N95 respirators. So there has been a major shortage. And so what Battelle came up with was a way for us to sterilize these masks and get them back to the hospitals. So in the big scheme of it, it sounds very simple, but there's so much involved with it, and there's so much science involved in like how long you have to let the system sterilize the mask, and how long you have to let it aerate for it to be safely sent back to the hospitals. And then you have this staff of people who've never done this work before, so we had to train them to do this work.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So there's a lot of science, and there's a lot of like logistics and business involved in what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Sister's holding it down. She is holding it down. I love it. So what would you say to, and we're getting closer to the end. It always flies when I'm enjoying it, but I'm just curious, like, if you were to talk to your younger self or someone right before college, right, who is wondering if they have the ability to go into STEM and even like work abroad. They have that travel bug is bitten them as well. Like, what are some of the things you would say to that person who's aspiring, at least in some way, to travel the path that you've traveled?
I would tell them to look for international positions sooner. Don't be afraid to do summer international programs. I would highly push them to apply for Fulbright programs. I would tell them, and this is what I've actually told students about the Oxford-Cambridge program. So Oxford-Cambridge program is a 4-year PhD program. You spend 2 years at the NIH, and then you spend 2 years at either Oxford or Cambridge. Like, I would just tell them about all this stuff that I wish that I knew about. Like, as great as I have turned out, like I just think about how much further I would be had I known about these different things. I told people about the Gates Foundation. Like, look into the Gates Foundation for scholarships. Like, there's so many different scholarships and opportunities that will sponsor you to do all of these things that you want to do. And then you'll go there, you'll get this experience, and then you'll come back and you have this wealth of knowledge. And also your temperament has changed because you've seen different things going on in the world. So it shapes how you look at your own country, and you see a lot more bad in your own country, but you also see a lot more good. So that would be my advice. And to be fearless, just go after it. Like I said earlier, what can they say? No? Like, who cares about a no? It is what it is.
Right. I think I've heard people say, like, no's is just one step closer to a yes. Like, I just said no. All right, cool. I'm just one step closer to my yes. So I love that. Yeah. Well, Vivian, this has been very inspirational. Even the people on YouTube are saying the same thing. And shout out to the YouTube crowd, people who are on YouTube. If you're not subscribed, just to give a plug real quick, Vivian, because I want to hear your plug soon. But if you're not subscribed to STEMmy on YouTube, please go over there. We want to lean in. We're streaming this simultaneously. Vivian, we want to know more about what you're doing. We want to follow you. We know that there are some more awards. There's some more just, global impacting, international impacting work that you have coming down the pipe for you. So tell us, how can we keep up to date on Vivian Smith?
I need to do better about keeping my Instagram updated. Again, I'm just so like, I'm just doing what I'm doing.
Killing the game. I'm just out here killing the game. You know what I mean?
I should do better. I really should. I should do more, like a website or something, but I'm not there yet. So for now, you can follow me on IG at Viv Wonders. I promise I'll start posting more.
Yeah.
And I'm in DC, so I'm heading up the COVID project in our nation's capital. So they only put you here if they feel like you can handle that pressure if them politicians walk in. So
you know what I mean? That's not too shabby. You know what I mean? Not too shabby, Viv. You know, we can't have anybody that don't know what they're doing out there. So I'm glad you're there, and I just feel a little bit more comfortable knowing that you're in DC, because before you got there, I don't really know what's going on, but now that you're there, at least something's got a little better by your presence. So that's awesome. That's awesome to know. And man, we have to find more ways to collaborate too, because I think you have such a wealth of knowledge and so much that I know people can benefit from. You know, of course, STEM media, we want to continue to inspire and pour into and empower people who are coming behind us and those who are our peers as well. So I know that we're just kind of just scratching the surface of the wealth of insight that you gleaned from your career. So thank you so much for taking the time to just break off some knowledge, drop some jewels on STEM Media Live. I do want to ask you again for some parting words of wisdom, though. Like, you know, it can be a quote, it can be a mantra, whatever it is that we can take and put in our pockets this week and for the weeks to come before we say goodbye.
So I just want to tell you, as far as STEM media, Battelle does a lot of STEM education outreach, and also they do a lot of grants. So if you look into it, I'll look into it. I'll talk to some of the people I know, because they love stuff like this. Like, they love companies and young entrepreneurs that are doing things like this, and they pour money into those efforts. So I'll make sure I look into that for you. And parting words, I always go to Dr. Martin Luther King's quote. And I know it sounds so like, yeah, of course, Martin Luther King. But it's like the mantra of my life. And the quote was like, if you can't walk, or if you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, just keep moving. So like, that's my mantra. Like, whatever you do, just keep moving towards what it is you're trying to achieve. Because if you're walking, crawling, running, whatever, you're still getting a little bit closer to what you're trying to do for yourself.
Whew, inspire people much. You know what I mean? Like, you got us feeling good. Y'all agree with me? I already know Teresa agrees with me and Derek agrees with me. Shout out to y'all coming through. Isaac, I love it. Dana, I saw you, man. If y'all enjoying this, you see the hearts coming. Y'all join me in thanking Vivian Smith for being on. Drop her a note in the comments. Thank you, Vivian. This has been amazing. We're going to have to just I say this about everybody that I have a great interview with. Like, I think next time we got to just go deep into one area, because it seems like it's so much to talk about. But next time we're going to have to just like pick an area and just like, all right, let's go straight into international STEM or whatever the case may be. So thank you so much for your time, Vivian. I know you're doing great work. And I just want to encourage you, truly believe in what you're doing. So glad that, you know, you're connected with STEM Media here on Instagram. And I know that this is just the beginning, not only for, you know, our connection as STEMfluencers, as some people put it, but your career. Like, your career is still on fast track, and we will promise to take those parting words and use them and apply them to keep moving forward, Vivian. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Finally.
Yeah, finally, we made it happen. Yes. So thank you so much. Get some sleep, get some rest. I know you got some important work to do out there in DC. And just have a good one. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye. See you later. All right, y'all. Again, thank you so much for joining us on STEM Media Live. Go to YouTube.